Welcome to the first in a series of webinars brought to you by the Wyoming Women's Business Center. We're really excited to be sharing today's topic with you. Many of our clients are looking for help with marketing, and in particular we hear a lot of questions about developing websites, maintaining websites, having artwork for websites, and just how do you go about having a really successful website for your business. Today we're really excited. We have Amanda Stith. She's here in Laramie, Wyoming. She's a full-time graphic and web design specialist for Mountain West Farm Bureau Insurance. And she's also contracting with the Women's Business Center here to work with some of our clients on some of the questions that they may have regarding marketing, graphic design, and websites. So I will ask that if you have questions, you'll hold them till the end, and you can submit them through the bottom right of the menu. There's a questions box, and we'll take a look at them and share those with Amanda. And we'll just go ahead and have Amanda get started. Thank you for joining us, Amanda. We really appreciate your expertise.
Thank you, Kim. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and this is a good topic that I always am passionate about. So, yeah, like Kim said, I work as a graphic and web designer in Laramie, Wyoming, but I also do freelance graphic and web design. So, and today we're going to talk about yoursite.com and how do you get there. So a lot of people might be interested in getting a website and they're not really sure how to go about it. It can be intimidating to think, you hear these words like hosting and domain names and you're not really sure where to get started. So this is going to be for people who maybe don't have a ton of experience with web design, so there are some easier options out there for you. So we're going to go over some of those options and give you kind of a live run-through of one of those platforms. So really quick, going over some simple items like what do we need. We know we need a URL, which for those who don't know, it's the www.yoursite.com. So we need to establish that. What's that going to be? SEO stands for search engine optimization. So, when people Google you, are you showing up? So how do we better that SEO so that you land near the top of the search results? We need to have our logo displayed, and if you don't have a logo, your site title or your business name, so we need to have that showing. And then we need to have pages, we need to have content, and so those are things that we absolutely need for our website. But there's also things that we might want. We want to make it visually appealing to people, we want people to come back. So maybe some items that we want are visuals, we want a lot of pictures, we want display, maybe artwork, or for me, if I was doing a portfolio, I'd want to display my work. A contact form is really useful. It gives someone another avenue to contact you. A lot of people put their phone number and their email, which is perfect, and you should do that, but also just giving somebody a quick access to get a hold of you is important. Multimedia, we definitely live in a very visual heavy world right now, so things like videos and slideshows are really attractive right now. So maybe we want to get some videos on our website. And maybe we want an online store. A lot of people might want to sell something, or you want to highlight your work, any of that. So those are things that we might want for our website. So what we're going to talk about today is a couple of, well, we're mostly going to go over Weebly, but here are our top options. We have, and I say top options, these are the three that are probably the most familiar when I say top options. So Squarespace and WordPress.com and Weebly, those are all web platforms, and they're technically free. I will say Squarespace does do a 14-day free trial period, so they are not technically free, but WordPress.com is free and Weebly is free. Of course, there's catches with that, so we'll get into that a little bit later. But there's also tons more out there, and you can go out and you can Google, web design platforms, and you're going to get a lot of different options. So these are just some of the more recognizable ones that, and are also very user-friendly. So We're going to go over maybe the pros and cons of of using these free web platforms. And just so you know, a normal process might be to go find a hosting provider, you buy your domain name through them, they host your website, then you have to find a design platform and start your website from scratch, and that can be really intimidating for some people. So there's definitely pros and cons, and you got to ask yourself where you're at. What's your 5-year plan for your website? Is this going to be a large online store? Is this going to be just information-based only? These are things you really want to think of when you're getting ready to start a website. So some of the pros with these free web platforms are they're all responsive, and that means that they modify themselves as for best optimal viewing depending on your device. So people looking on smartphones, tablets, or their desktop, your website is going to modify itself to give them the best viewing experience. So all these free web platforms definitely come with responsive themes, which is a must in today's world. So the themes are actually pretty high quality, so that is nice. They give you really beautiful themes. They update them to be current with the times, so whatever's trending now, they're going to give you themes for that. They are not unlimited. There are only a handful of themes to choose from, so depending on your platform, there might be more, there might be less. I know WordPress.com comes with a lot more versus Weebly, but the good thing is they do give you quality themes. The usability is very friendly, so that's nice. A lot of people have no idea how to start a website, and they have no idea how to design a website. So these free web platforms have made it as user-friendly as possible for you, so that nobody or anybody who has no coding experience or web experience can come on and still design a website. And coding is another pro because you don't have to know it, but these free web platforms will give you access to the code. So if you do know code, or if you do have a background in HTML and CSS, you can modify these themes to be a little bit more personal. So that is an option, but if you have no idea how to code, you don't have to know it. So that's a pro. And cons, we'll go over some of those. There's definitely some cons with having these web platforms that are, technically free. One of them is you can't add plugins or add-ons, I should say. So something like WordPress, or I should say a bigger hosting website, you can use things like plugins or add-ons. So if you see a beautiful calendar that you like, or if you see a certain form that you enjoy and you want to add that to the site, you can't do that with these. Basically, what you see is what you get. You can request for features through their customer service, but that's a very long process and probably never happens. So basically, when you log in, what you see is what you get. For a lot of people, there's plenty there, but there might be some people who want definitely more personalized items to add on to their website. Another issue is you're kind of locked in. So once you choose one of these free platforms like Squarespace or Weebly, and you build your website, and it grows and it grows, and finally you're at a place where you're like, oh, I just need to move this to my own hosting provider and expand. That's not easy to do. There is no export option. A lot of times you either have to pay for somebody to move everything over, or you have to do it and you go page by page and export all that content, which for some people who have a blog, who've had a blog for years and they want all that material out there, they're going to have to go through and go blog by blog and pull it over to a new website. So they really kind of get you in this relationship where they keep you, and it's almost too much of a struggle to leave, so they kind of lock you in that sense. But you might be happy with them and want to stay forever. So design can actually be a con, and I think the design is nice for these website platforms. They definitely give you the tools to make a beautiful website, but I know a lot of people don't have a lot of design experience, so what you think looks good might not be technically correct for the time. So giving people free rein on the design can sometimes lead to some issues in the overall functionality or aesthetics of the website. And storage is the last con. They have limited space, so for people who have artwork or people who have photography, that kind of stuff you're going to want all that imagery on your website, and that's really going to take up a lot of space. You can do things to make them as small as possible for the web, but in the long run, you're still going to have hundreds or thousands of photos. So for free versions, there's definitely a limited amount of storage space that you can have, and even when you upgrade, there can be limits on it. So that's basically the pros and cons, but again, we're going over what you need to just get a website started and you have no background or experience in it. These free platforms are still a really good way to get started. So before we get into the actual going through the website, I just want to give you guys some quick design tips. This is going to help you when you're ready to put that website together and to remember some things. So just going to go over really quick some fonts and some photo do's and don'ts, and then we'll move on from there. So when you're doing your fonts for your website, you basically want to make sure, you want to ask yourself, is it readable? If I had this as my body text and everything was in this, it's too frustrating to read. And when people get frustrated, they leave your website. So ask yourself, when you're picking your font, and maybe this is a header font, still probably not the best choice because it's a little bit hard to read. You want to make it as clear and as easy as possible for people to absorb your content. So ask yourself, is this font readable? Is it professional? I know a lot of people use Comic Sans. It's kind of fun and whimsical, but if you have a certain business, maybe photography, or again, art, if you're an artist, this might not be the best font for you to use because it's not saying like I'm a professional business. It's more like kindergarten funsy font. So make sure, ask yourself, is this professional? What am I trying to portray with my business website? What is this font saying about my business? And the last one, does it make sense? A lot of times you might grab a font because you think it's fun, and that might be true, and you might think, oh, this is eye-catchy, that's a good thing. Make sure it makes sense with your business. This wouldn't make much sense for, say, if you had, I don't know, a morgue business or something. It's probably a little bit, maybe not the best example, but ask yourself, does it make sense for your business? All right, and then we'll go over some quick images, some design tips for your images. With these free platforms, they're not going to let you distort your photos, which is really great. However, if you want to use this photo, say again, you have a newsletter or you have postcards, business cards, and you want to use that photo that you're using on your website, we just want to make sure it's consistent. And one thing that we want to make sure we never do is distort our images. And distortion is basically when you stretch it or make it longer and you're not scaling it proportionally. So this is what the photo originally looked like, and then on the left is the distorted photo. That's a huge no-no, so just make sure when you're scaling your photos, crop them if you need it to be. If it's a vertical photo, you need it to be horizontal, crop it, maybe look for a nice visually interesting way to do that, but never distort the photos because it hurts the eyes, and the brain might not automatically know that it's distorted, but it knows something is wrong, and again, when people think this is wrong, that's not a good vibe to have at your website. Stealing photos is very bad, so you want to make sure that I highly, highly encourage you to take your own photos. If you have a business and you're trying to highlight that it's your own business, it's unique, take photos of it. Anything that you can do that's visually striking, take pictures, because anybody who pays for this particular photo, 1,000 people could have that same photo on their website. So stock photos are a great option if you have nothing to take photos with, or don't know what to do there, just make sure that if you can't take your own photos and you want to use photos on your website, use one of these photo platforms that can give you stock photo images, that you can pay for, and that way you know you're legal and no one's going to show up at your website and say you stole a photo and slap you with a big fine. So again, highly encourage you to take your own photos, but if that's not an option, make sure you purchase them legally. Really quick, we're going to touch on the size of photos. This isn't usually too much of an issue for websites, but make sure you don't scale them. So if it's a 1" by 1" photo and you want to blow it up, this is what happens. You get the pixelation in there. So make sure your photo is the appropriate size. That's obviously what it should look like. So if your photo isn't big enough, buy it bigger, or again, take a larger photo with your camera. More often than not, though, for web, most photos are too large. They will scale your photo down, like Weebly will take a large photo and scale it down for you, but it's still big. It's still a big file size, and it's going to take a long time to load. And if people come to your website and you have a slideshow and it's not loading, their response time is immediate. If it's not there, they're moving on. So if this is something that you want, make sure that you scale your website down, or your photos down to, you want it to be 72 dpi, which most photos are 300 dpi. You want it to be 72, and make sure you look at your pixel size. So if your picture is 5,000 pixels by 6,000 pixels, more suitable size might be 800, 900 pixels, and even like this photo that you see right here, that's probably about 300 pixels wide. So, you know, when you scale your photos or resize your photos, keep that in mind. And at the end of this PowerPoint, there is a link to a photo resizer that you can get on the web. So if you don't have that software on your computer, you can access that online pretty easily. All right, so we're going to go over Weebly today, and the reason we're choosing Weebly is it is the most user-friendly, the most intuitive platform, and its pricing-wise is actually cheaper in the long run than both Squarespace and WordPress.com. So we're going to use that. I'm just going to give you a few screenshots here to show you what the sign-up process is, because I've already signed up. So really easy to sign up. You just give them your name, email, and create a password. Obviously, keep this information someplace and don't forget it. It's going to ask you what the focus of your site is. Are you doing a website? Are you doing a blog? Are you doing a store? Obviously, we're more interested in a site today, so I selected that. Then it's going to say choose your theme. You can choose or change this later. So if you like one, try it, realize it's not working for you, you can always change it. So scroll through, look at all of them. There's not too many to choose from, but there's a good selection here. So I'm going to go ahead and go with Unite, which is just a clean, simple theme. So that's where it's going to ask you to choose your website domain. So up at the top, you see that that's the free version, and you notice it's going to be amandastith.weebly.com. I know a lot of people do not like that, and that's the catch. If you want to go all free, is you have to have their name in the URL. So if you want to register your own domain, that's fine. There is a fee with that, but make sure that you type in both, because I noticed, I'm like, maybe I want a free one for now and I'll upgrade later, because you can always do that. So I typed my name up at the top, and it's fine, but then I typed it down at the bottom and it's taken. So make sure you test both if you're going to wait to upgrade. That way you know if that URL is actually available. All right, so now we're going to switch over here, and we're actually going to do a live run-through of Weebly. That way you can get a feel of how the platform works and how to set it up. So once you're in your dashboard, this is it. I have my amandastith.weebly.com. I can upgrade if I want to upgrade, but right now we want edit site. So this is where I want to go anytime I want to update my site. All right, so right off the bat, here it all is. We have our tools on the side, we have a blue menu up at the top, and then we have all the content right here. Really quick, you see over on the left, these are all the tools, and it's under Build. I'm not going to go through all of these. They're pretty intuitive, but this is all a drag and drop system. So you can have a title, you can have text, your images. It kind of gives you a headline of what they are, structure, your media tools, commerce, and more. So go ahead and look at those on your own time, take a peek. It's all pretty intuitive. Again, just drag and drop for elements, so that's really easy to do. Design is another place. This is again where I'm talking about if you wanted to update your code, edit HTML and CSS is right there, so you can go in and you can play with it. Again, you're not locked into this theme, so you can change themes here. They give you fonts. Obviously, it's just what it is, but you can change it because that might not be what speaks to your business. So you can do site title, you can do your headline, which is right there, and you notice it highlights the areas that you have over here on the left, so that's nice. So paragraph titles might be one that you want to change. Click on here. Here's all your fonts, and again, make sure you just ask yourselves, what are you trying to portray with your business? So I know the more fancy ones are down here, so make sure if they're readable, they're there, or you pick what's readable and you pick what makes the most sense for you. And then if you did want to have a background color, background image, that's also where you can update that. So going back to our outline, you know, we want to have our URL, so we've already got that. And we want to have our SEO. We want to set that up so that our website is the best it can be for search engines. So even though I'm going to have a logo, I still have back here my site title, which is definitely something you want to add. So because these are the little tidbits that these little robots crawl on your site, and that's what is going to help boost you in the search engines. So make sure that you have your site title is there, and then over here on the left you see SEO. You click on that. Site description. You want to make sure you have a very detailed site description because this isn't showing up anywhere. It's just in the background for those websites to crawl. So even this graphic and web design services for any business or organization in Laramie, Wyoming, that might be better. That way it's a little bit more concise. And then that could even be more descriptive. Over here, your meta keywords, those are any word whatsoever that relates to your business. So fill this up. I have over here, it says I still have 166 characters left. Fill that entire thing up with as many words as you can think of that relate to your business. So I have it all right here. I could keep going, but that's where you're going to want to fill that in. Footer code is, you know, if you have Google Analytics and you know what that is, this is where you can place it. So if you want to have tracking for your website and you know what that is, that's where you can go. So take a look at all of these options. This is just your general settings. If you want to add people who edit your site, you can do that here, anything like that. So that's how we set up our SEO, and we make it as best as we can. And then from there, I mean, there's other things you can do, but as far as Weebly is concerned, this is the best you can do for making your site, making the search engine optimization as best as you can. So from there, we talked about wanting our logo or our title. And what's nice about Weebly is you just click, and that's how you edit. It's really easy. So if I didn't have a logo, you know, I can put my title right up here, just type it. But if you do want a logo, if you hover over, it gives you those options. You're just going to click on logo, upload from your computer. I have my logo right here. I'm going to say open, and there it is. So pretty easy. With this particular theme, you know, this is as high as my header is, so it works well with a nice horizontal logo, but if I had a more wide or square logo, this might not be the best theme for that. So again, those are things you'll notice as you start playing around and adding things to your website. And the last thing of things that we need is our pages. So you see up here in this blue menu, we have pages. You're going to click on that, and this is where everything is about your pages. So this little plus sign is how you add a new one. So if you add a new page, you can add a blog, a store page, or an external page if you're trying to link to an external website. But we just want a standard page. So I'm going to type here my work. If this is going to be something that you're going to work on for a while, say it's going to take you a few weeks to get there, but your site is live, you can hide it in the navigation, and it hides over here on the left. Or you can show it when you're ready and it's there. They give you header options. Sometimes Weebly will give you a header on every page, and a lot of times you don't want that, so you can hit no header, and that goes away. So you can save it. And say I want my work to be after about, because that seems a little bit more standard. These dots here are what moves it, and you move it up, and that reloads or reorders your pages. So now we have pages, we have our logo, we have our URL. Now we want to kind of go over the things about, well, and with pages, you know, we want to get our content. So we have pages, but this is where we start adding the meat to our pages. So starting right here, you know, we have this home page, we have this slider, but maybe we want something underneath. Maybe we want to do our features, if you will. So Weebly is nice because it gives you this layout option, and they have home, about pages, services. So for your home page, you might want to highlight your services. So right here, top one, I'm just going to choose that. It's going to show you what it's going to look like. You'll hit keep, and there it is. So right there, it just populates all that dummy data for you, and you can go ahead and edit it yourself. So, and my computer is not working. There we go. Interesting. Let me refresh, see what's happening. Normally, if you just click, that's when everything works. There we go. Just need a quick refresh. So you can say features. You can put whatever you want there for a title, or if you don't want the title, say you just want those pictures, you can exit out of it. So hover over and delete, and that takes that away. So right now, you know, if all the things in Weebly is just click to edit. So maybe I want my first feature to be web design because it's like a portfolio page. Same thing as your logo, you just add it. I provide web design. You can put whatever here for a description, if I can spell. And say I don't like how close this is to my image, that's where maybe this drag and drop system might come in. Maybe I want to drag this right here. It's a spacer, so it gives you a little bit more space. But then, you know, maybe I want it to not be that far, so I put it right there. And I think that just looks nicer. And then for buttons, there's lots of buttons. Buttons are a great option. Again, just click to edit. So I clicked on the button. For the link, what do you want? I want it to go to a standard page, which are all the pages that I have on Weebly. So I want that to go to my work. Or you can do an external one, so if you want it to go to another person's web design page, if you will. So I'm going to save that. Button text, and click on that. I want it to be view. And you see the button changes down here. Position, left, right, center. And that's, so explore these options. There's lots of different ways. You don't have to just keep with what's there, but for time's sake, we will. So right there I have a nice feature, and I can do that for the other two. Maybe I want to do my graphic design, and then I want to do contact me. So right there, that's populating that content. We're going to do the same thing for the about page. And again, you have this header here, and you don't really want it. If you click on this little gear, you can go no header, and that makes it disappear. So again, choose layout, and you don't have to use these layouts, but I think they kind of give you a nice starting point. And you can keep that. I think it looks good. And again, it's a little bit frozen. This has not happened to me before, so new thing. But maybe I want to say about Amanda. I can't spell my name. Paragraph about me. Maybe this is where I put my own picture. So maybe that's all I want. I don't even want this down lower section. So this is maybe the one downfall of doing these layouts is if you don't want most of it, you're going to have to go through and delete every single little piece that you don't want. So there we go, very simple about page, about me, my picture over here. So that's how we get our content on our pages. We have our pages, we started to get the meat on our pages. Now we want to go over some visuals. So with your home page, right here, it's like the cover of your book. This is the first thing people are going to see when they come to your website. So most of these themes, I think every single one of them, have a very large image on the front. And we live in a very image-heavy society. People are really drawn to pictures, like Pinterest and Instagram are huge right now. So you really want to make sure that whatever landing photo you have, it's very iconic, it's eye-catching, but it also is appropriate for your business. So right here, I'm going to click Edit Image. It's the same thing as we've done before. They give you a lot of images here, and they are nice. So if any of these speak to your business and you just can't find a photo that's suitable, explore these options. Or you can upload your own image. And that will load. Now, with this home image, it's going to give you some options here. If you see, you can change the image, or you can zoom, or you can blur it. I find that kind of an interesting option. So if you want it to be more blurry, you can do that. If you want it to be darker, because that text is we have our landing image. Right here, you can web, and then you can type in your tagline if you have a tagline, and again that button, if you want to maybe have it go to the About You page, that is pretty consistent if people are wanting to learn more about your, people want to learn more about your business. That's usually where you're going to take them right away, is to the About page. Again, standard page, About, perfect, save, and that's our home image right there. So we kind of have gone over visuals a little bit already, so that's, yeah, so again, scale your photos, make sure that you're doing everything that you need to do to make them look good, but also make them web ready. All right, next, contact form. This one's super easy, which is really nice. All you have to do is we have our contact page here. I don't even want to choose a layout. You can. They have some really nice options with Google Maps, which is awesome. So, but if you just want a simple, plain Jane contact form, click and drag, and it populates itself. Like it says here, click here to edit. You can update the title. All this information is good, and then here this blue box says form options, and that's where it's going to show where it emails to, which is super important. Weebly already is using the email that I already used to set up, which most people will probably use that email anyway, but just make sure that it's pointing to the right email address, and then when anyone comes to your website and fills out that contact form, it's going to send it right to your email. Again, giving those your customers an extra option to contact you, which is great. And so that's our contact form. Pretty easy. We also want to go over multimedia, something that's also pretty easy. Under my work, maybe you want to put a video that I've done, which I haven't done a video. So, but again, over here for the drag and drop, as you scroll down, where to go? Oh, here we go. So you have YouTube, you have Flash, HD video, if that's your own file basically. But I'm just going to use a YouTube video. So I'm going to bring it over. It's going to give you this kind of gnarly looking thing. All you do to edit that is you're going to click on it, and it wants that URL. So maybe I have this nice how to create a successful marketing plan that I want to provide to my viewers. So I'm going to hit share. I'm going to use that link. I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste it in. And there it is. So super easy to add multimedia to your site. If you had a blog and you wanted to add blog videos, you can do that. Basically, this is super simple, and you know that's what's really nice about Weebly is it's just really intuitive. Anyone can use it, and so if you're one of those people that just doesn't know where to start, this could be a really great option for you. And just so you know, WordPress and Squarespace are relatively similar. They might not be as intuitive, but they're also very easy. So have confidence that you can do not just this because it's the only one you've seen, but explore those other options as well. The last thing is the online store. I know a lot of people might want to sell some items, and as of sometime between 2 weeks ago and today, Weebly has actually made it so you have to upgrade to do an online store. So I gave this presentation 2 weeks ago, and it wasn't like that then. So, so I have some screenshots. That way you guys can get a little bit of a sense of it. But you will have to upgrade if you want to use that option for your store. So right here, maybe I want to have browse my designs. Over on the left, there are those tools again, the commerce tools, and you can grab a product over and drag it in, and it's going to give you this option. You want a new product, or if you have existing products, they will show up down here. So you would click on a new product, and it's going to give you the dashboard for that product. So maybe I'm selling logo designs, which so I put in logo design. This is where the description will go. Is it a physical good? Is it a digital good? What's the price of it? And then does your product have an image? So really easy to navigate and set up your product line. And then it's going to show up on the page. You can see here that that's where the header was, and then you have your image, add to cart, and you can manage all that up again in this blue menu. There's store. That's where all your store items will be. So you can manage the credit card, you can look at your orders and your order history. So once you upgrade, and if that's something you're looking for, it gives you a really user-friendly store platform to work with. So how do we upgrade, you might ask? If you want a unique URL, so if you don't want that .weebly.com or .squarespace.com, you're going to have to upgrade. You can upgrade. They have different plans, the starter plan, the pro, and the business. Again, if you look at that bottom one, business, fully integrated e-commerce, shopping cart, so that's if you're doing a really big online store and you have tons of products to choose from, that's going to be what you want to go with. Now, pricing-wise, that's pretty steep, so maybe you want to explore other options, but starter plan is a little bit easier, but it only gives you maybe 10 products to start with. So if you have more than 10 products, make sure you look into that and ask yourself, where's this going to go? Again, make sure you figure out a plan, figure out a marketing plan for your website, and yeah, make sure you know what your goals are for your website. And with each of these plans, the longer out you go, the cheaper it is. So if you buy your upgrade for 2 years down the line, that's going to be your cheapest option in the long run. So you're going to hit publish, which is up in the top right corner. So I'll just show you really quick. That's where you're going to be publishing your site. So once everything's built, once everything's in place, then you're going to want to publish. If you're not ready, there's no need to publish. You can just exit the editor and come back to it another day. So it gives you that time to make your site as perfect as you want it to be, and it's not just a live URL right away. And again, with that upgrade option is right there too, so it's going to give you that option to upgrade. Once you publish, that's pretty much it, and that's how to get a basic website started. WordPress.com is, I know a lot of people have heard of WordPress, and it's a really good option. WordPress.com is different from WordPress.org, which is a whole nother thing, but if you've heard of it and you're interested in it, maybe explore that route, because it is a very popular web design platform. It populates a lot of the web today. So, and there are a lot of tutorials. This is just one, the beginner's guide for steps for Weebly. Like I mentioned, the resize your photos, you can go to webresizer.com, and that will, if you have large photos, that will reduce them for the web. Otherwise, you can use all sorts of things. If you do have Photoshop, that's an option. If you just have Microsoft Paint, that actually can resize your photos, which I didn't know until recently. So it doesn't take much. If you have any photo editing on your computer, you probably can resize your photos using it. And Google your questions. I have spent a lot of time just Googling my exact questions, like how do I start an online store on Weebly? And you're going to get a lot of references for that. Same thing with WordPress, same thing with Squarespace. Don't be afraid to kind of hands-on learn and search for it, because if you can't find it, odds are it can't be done. So there's a lot of information out there for you. And I think at this time we're going to take some questions if there are any. So yeah, and that's my contact information. If you have questions or if you need help or anything, feel free to contact me. I'm happy to help.
Well, thank you, Amanda. That's some really great information for folks that want to look at that particular option. We do have a couple questions that I want to, and you may have already answered this, but what would be a good size for website photos?
So a good size for your main page slide, so that big slide on the front, that is going to be no more width-wise than maybe 1,500, 1,600 pixels, and that's going to be the biggest photo that you're going to have on your website. So a homepage banner, 1,500 to 1,600 pixels is perfect. And just for a fun trick, if you're ever curious, oh wait, I don't want to leave. If you're ever curious, something that you can do, a nice trick might be to right-click, and if you hit Inspect Element, and this is Google Chrome, but they all have it, Firefox, Internet Explorer, and you hover over that, you can see up at the top of the photo, it says 480 pixels by 320 pixels. So that's my trick for finding exact dimensions of photos. So now maybe I might scale a photo I have exactly to those dimensions. If you don't know how to do that, or if you don't want to mess with that, usually, like I said, 1,500 is the widest you'll ever go. And then most of the time, it's anywhere between 300 pixels and 800 pixels for your photos.
Okay, thank you. Our next question is a two-part question. What does it cost to register your own URL, and what are the benefits of doing so?
And is this through Weebly, or is this separate through a hosting?
I think if you were just to go out and try to register that URL, how much does that cost?
You can buy a URL, and so it's a little bit different. So you can buy your domain name and not necessarily use a hosting service. So to pay for a domain name, I believe it can be like $20 to $30 a year, but that's just to own the domain name. Now, if you want to use that and with a hosting provider, that would be, I think there was a full year to register the domain name and a full year, and this is using SiteGround, which is what I know and what I use most of the time. For 1 year, it'd be like $100. For 2 years, it might be like $150. So, I mean, again, the longer out you go, the cheaper it is in the long run. But, and for me, I would go, and just so that you might have a reference, for SiteGround, if you click on it, and you can do this with all sorts of things. WordPress, if you like WordPress, you can do WordPress hosting. And if you click on that, where are the plans? Oh, here we go. So there's all these different plans. So most people might just want the startup, which is the cheapest option, and that's where you can, if you already have a domain name, you can put it here. If you need to register a domain name, you can do it here. And maybe hit proceed to see if that's even available. No, which it is. And then down here is where you'll find at the last bit, 12 months, and this is just to give you one example. Like I said, there's so many. So 12 months, if you want all these perks, you can have the perks. We're going to get rid of them. So for, oh yeah, so for 1 year, it's $47.40, 12 months. If you want 24 months, that's $94.80. Sorry, it's $100 for 2 years. So that kind of gives you an idea of what it would be if you bought your own domain name through a hosting provider.
So when you were talking about Weebly, you said it seemed like that the Weebly.com was included in your actual domain name. So do you think that it makes sense for businesses to go after their own URL, or is it okay to have like your hosting service within your URL?
It is much better to have your own domain name. People will take your business more seriously if it's amandastith.com versus amandastith.weebly.com. Credibility is the big key there. It's much more of a credible website if it's your own URL, and search engine wise it's better. Directing people to your website is better, because when you start adding dots or dashes in the URL, it makes it more complicated for people. Again, we're in a society where you want instant gratification, so having that .weebly is slowing them down, which deters them from wanting to use your website. So from a web design perspective and from a business perspective, you definitely should upgrade. But if you're not ready, you can start with the .weebly.com, and that's what's nice about that, is it gives you a free option to where you can start, and then maybe when you're ready and you are financially ready to take that plunge, you can pay for that. So whereas if you go through this hosting provider and start from scratch, there's no choice. You have to pay right up front before you can even start a website.
Okay, thank you. When you talk about these different platforms, the website design platforms, do you think that any one guarantees a better position on the web when people are doing searches, or are they all very similar in terms of results, search results?
I would say they are all very similar, because they all boast that they have the best highest SEO optimization. So basically they have set up their platforms to be easily crawled by those robots that tell Google, the site matches up with these search terms or whatever. So when it comes like to Weebly and Squarespace, that's about the same. And you can do other things to make it more SEO friendly, such as submitting your URL to Google directly, or setting up Google Webmaster Tools is another really smart thing to do, which you can then also submit through Google. And then the more hits you get, the better it is. So.
Okay, Amanda, we have time for a couple more questions. Does using, let's see. So if I want to do an announcement, like first I'm going to have a sale on this coming weekend, how responsive is Weebly or the others so I can change the content and then change it back right away?
Oh, that's something really easy. For instance, if you were on your home page, which I don't know why that but if you want to highlight an event right here, you can quickly click on it, say open house, put the date, put the learn more. Maybe it takes them to a page that says, it gives all the detailed information. So and then the day the open house is done, you come back in and you put it right back to what it was, and then you hit publish. So, and that's a matter of also you taking the time to update your content. So it's easy and it's not time consuming, but that is definitely a responsibility to make sure that if you want to use your website in that way, make sure you get in and make sure the information is relevant and up to date. So, but yes, it is easy.
Okay, and one last question here is it pretty easy to set up, could you set up a counter on your website that would be visible to you but hidden to the viewers? So you
about how many people visit your site?
Sorry, what?
To like show how many people come and visit your site?
Yes.
In fact, if we go exit editor and go back to our dashboard, so I would have to publish it to get statistics, but we can do it. It's not that big of a deal. I'll just take it right back down. So, and if you start this and you don't like it, it's pretty easy to just delete a whole site. So, quick demonstration. All right, so there's our site. So now it's out in the world. So for anyone who wanted to type that in, it's there. Now if I exit editor, I should have, right there. On your dashboard, unique visitors per week, page views per week. So it will tell you right away the statistics of your site. And if you want, that's just 2 statistics. If you want more advanced, I would encourage you to do Google Analytics, which once you enter that code in the footer code, that gives you all sorts of statistics about your site. Like it'll give you who's on your site right that very moment, that kind of stuff. So if you're looking for more detailed stats, use Google Analytics. Otherwise, Weebly will give you this information right here.
Would your stats page give you any specific information about who the visitor is? Can you capture the name and email of a visitor through other means than the contact form?
No, you can't. You cannot capture. Well, with the contact form, you can. But like in the stats, it's not going to tell you like names and emails, but it will tell you like demographics, like age, sex, gender, and all those different things. So it will give you more detailed of what's your target audience, like who's your target audience right now, who's like the most willing to come to your site, that type of stuff. And it will tell you how long people are at your site. So if someone shows up and they leave right away, if your average page time is 30 or website time is 30 seconds, that's not good, and that's when you can start asking yourself, well, what pages are they going to? And they're leaving that page, so I need to maybe modify that page to keep them there longer. And so it just gives you a lot more information. The contact form, if people fill out the contact form and email you, that's going to give you that you're going to get all their information.
Okay, thank you. I have one last question, and this might be a whole new webinar topic, but what about integrating some of your social media activities with your website? So is it easy to put, you know, your Facebook link and your Twitter feed and that type of stuff within the Weebly world?
Yeah, actually, you can put in there the right here. There's social icons. If you drop that in,
Okay.
and it looks like, so that is an option, and it looks like that might be it for your social icons as far as Weebly is concerned. This is the free version. I don't know if you upgraded, if they would give you more, but if you're using something like Pinterest or Instagram or Flickr or all those other options, it doesn't look like that's an option with that drag and drop. You could also, a workaround to that, and that's just my brain working, you could get those icons, make them little images, put them on your website wherever you would like them located, and then link them to your social media. So that would be a workaround if you have more than just these four, and if you want them in color. Get their icons, create an image, and then you can hyperlink those images.
Well, thank you. I think we're out of time for today's session. Amanda, would you mind going back to your contact screen? And we can please leave with that. And I will let everybody know that we are going to have a series of webinars over the coming months. So we have posted our webinar scheduled on the www.wyomingwomen.org. Next week, we're going to have Mark Mader or Rolf Peterson from Mader, Tucker Peterson here in Laramie talking about accounting essentials, and they're going to share ideas for finding the best tools for your business, from spreadsheets to mobile apps to QuickBooks. What are the different choices out there? So Amanda, we really, really appreciate your expertise and sharing your time with us today, and maybe we can find another topic for you to do for us in the future, because this was really great content. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely, and thank you for inviting me.
You bet. And then the link will be available for folks to listen to this after we close. So thank you for attending.
Thank you.